Today is Labor Day, and joining us this morning with a look at the state of the labor movement is Chrissy Lynch, president of the Massachusetts AFL-CIO. Ms. Lynch, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day to you as well. So one of the big issues continuing to impact the labor movement, seemingly across all industries, is AI, or artificial intelligence.
Indeed.
How is the labor movement responding to this?
Look, we've had to cope with rapidly evolving technology throughout the decades and centuries, but no technology has evolved as rapidly with the potential for as much disruption as artificial intelligence. Now, we're not anti-technology. We do think there's some parts of this technology that can be good, but working people don't want to have to trade away our privacy, our data, our surveillance. You know, we don't have to. We don't want to have to give up our rights as workers and as consumers to be able to use this technology. We don't want to have to trade away, eliminating some of the monotony or tedium in people's jobs for constant surveillance, when a lot of these employers are using it now without workers even knowing about it. We want to make sure there's safeguards that limit how many of our jobs can be automated and replaced by this technology. We just want to make sure there are safeguards in place for the working class, and we know that we can create safeguards for the working class without stifling innovation. And we want to do that.
Now, one of the more public labor actions that took place this year, and somewhat related to that, took place at Fenway Park.
Indeed, yeah. A lot of what they're having this dispute over there. It's not just making sure that the workers in Fenway are getting industry standard wages and benefits, but it's also to limit the amount of automation that Aramark is using over at Fenway Park, where they're trying to automate the jobs of a lot of working people right now in a way that's not only bad for those workers, but it actually is pretty bad for public health when you've got machines serving alcohol to people in a way that doesn't have the gauge that a human being would. It's similar themes, when we think about autonomous vehicles. They're trying to come here, and certainly there are concerns for the workers whose jobs would be lost as these big tech companies try and automate drivers. But it's also how this makes our streets less safe in a really big way, and we've got really big concerns, not just as workers, but as people who live in our society.
And another issue that's going on, definitely local, along some local communities, has been the Republic strike.
Indeed. Yeah. The Teamsters Union, which is in negotiations with Republic right now, though it doesn't sound like Republic's being a really good, faithful partner at the bargaining table. But look, the Teamsters are taking on a multinational corporation making plenty of money in profits right now, who can afford to treat their workers with dignity and respect. And it's really sad that this corporation is willing to, make the people who want their trash picked up suffer as a result. We hope that Republic gets to the table and ends and negotiates a fair contract with these workers as soon as possible. But we applaud the Teamsters for taking on such a big fight. It's important, and it's going to raise standards for all workers.
So I'm gathering from what you're telling me that it doesn't seem like this strike is ending anytime soon.
I don't know. I'm not at the table with the Teamsters and Republic, but I can tell you that the Teamsters, from what I've been told, have gone out of their way to sit down with this corporation, and Republic is holding things up and not being an honest partner at the table. And we hope that ends.
All righty. Well,
nobody wants to. Striking is a hard thing for unions to do, and it never happens without a democratic vote of the membership. But when a membership votes to strike, especially with such an overwhelming number, there's going to be something pretty wrong in that workplace. But every strike, every organizing campaign is an act of hope. We bet our collective power that working people, that we can have a better life, where we don't have to struggle to afford food and health care, And right now, working people are anxious. We're anxious about our jobs. We're anxious about how we're going to pay our constantly increasing bills. and this is one way to take action, to feel like we've got our destiny in our own hands in some way.
All righty. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it right there, but thank you so much for speaking with us. We do appreciate it, and happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day to you, too. Thank you very much.